welcome to Timely Talk with A.M.
Thank
Skyer. I'm talking to Will Pierce, who is a co-owner, director
Yes.
of Pierce Country Day Camp
That's correct. Yeah.
in Roslyn, New York, and a fourth generation camp owner of Pierce Camp. And you didn't always work at camp. Tell me your life story there.
That's right. Well, I grew up at camp, and I always wanted to work at camp, follow in my father's footsteps to become a camp director. Just had such a big impact on me, and I've always loved working with children, as well as when I attended camp. And so I went to Dartmouth College, and my dad was nice enough to pay for that. And when I graduated, I said, Dad, I want to come into the family business. And he gave me probably the best advice that he's ever given me. He's given me a lot of good advice. He said, I will not, no, you can't come work for the family business. Minimum of 3 years, you have to go do something else, put that degree to work. And if you still want to come back then, I welcome you with open arms, and I'd love to have you back. And so I moved out to California, worked in commercial real estate private equity, and 3 years turned into 7. Had a great experience. Met my wife out there, but then I always knew it was time to come home to do what I always wanted to do. And now I'm doing it. I've been back for almost 7 years now. We were founded in 1918, and as far as we can tell, I think there's no official records of this, but yeah, we are the first, America's first and finest is one of our taglines that my great-grandfather, Pop Pierce, came up with, and yeah, it's something we're very proud of.
And what about the camper population? Has that changed over the years? Is it more
From a
diverse?
generation ago, it certainly has. For a generation ago, in the 80s, we were an all Long Island camp. There was a lot more kids on Long Island in the local area. Now we hail about 40% from Manhattan. And then definitely more recently, we're starting to see an influx of some different ethnicities and backgrounds start of kind of being more interested in what is camp, because parents didn't necessarily go to camp, which a lot of our current camper bases comes from a background where one or both parents went to camp, to they're hearing about it and now are at least coming to take a look and get experience with that. And I would expect that would grow.
And what are the things you've done to sort of accommodate that? Any changes in programs or how counselors deal with campers? Or
Yeah, nothing major. I always like to try and also hire staff from similar backgrounds. So, children have someone that they identify with or a role model they identify with. I also think it helps as you kind of spread awareness in a community that not only do you have children coming from the community, but you also have some staff that have worked there as well. And we've done things, I don't know if it's necessarily in direct response to trying to reach out culturally, but I think just your camp program has to be constantly innovating. My Uncle Doug always talks about how when he was a kid, they had boxing at day camp, right? You can imagine that was in the 50s and 60s, right? So, and now we do Lego robotics. So,
there's not a lot of competition. There must be competition on Long Island for day camp.
yeah, it's competition, but it's also friendly competition. I think everyone in Long Island kind of understands that when kids go have a good camp experience, whether it's at your camp or another camp, that's good for all of us. That's good for camp. That keeps us relevant. And that keeps the value that parents see in camping really intact. I think what's more challenging in the competition is some of kind of what I'll call the 1 week camps or the single purpose camps that are kind of using the word camp, and they are, camp, but it's just a little bit different of a style. And so I think in the parent mind, sometimes that can get kind of muddled. Well, what's the difference between you're a camp and then there's a computer coding camp, or maybe something that's just focused specifically on gymnastics camp. And oftentimes there can be room in the summer for both kind of experiences, but
there has been an uptick in those kinds.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the increased competition that's a little bit more, difficult to navigate, as far as you have to really constantly be watching the landscape and understand what's happening. Whereas, 35, 40 years ago, it's not like they were having a brand new camp competition pop up, multiple of them every summer, especially when you're going into Manhattan.
Yeah.